studies for Garden City University, Bangalore, and N.G. Bedkar College of Commerce, Mumbai, Mount Carmel College, Bangalore, Lakshmi Amini College, Malleshwaram, and Banari Amman Institute of Technology, Erode. Writes in the New Indian Express and the Hindu newspapers, has a book translation to his credit, runs a discussion forum, Let's Start, and a YouTube channel, Learner's Loop. He is also trained Carnatic musician. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to our session. Thank you.
So I would like to recognize all the past, present, and future zone leaders and leaders of JCI India. And I'm handing over the floor to Professor Rishikesh KB sir. Sir, please take it forward.
I think the presentation right is not shared to me.
Can you, sir?
Yes, thank you. Is my screen visible now?
Just a minute, sir. Just 1 minute. Sir, can I have a 1 minute privilege?
Yes.
Yes. So I would like to invite JC Zone Director Business, JC Madri Garu, and kindly give few words about the session.
Thank you for the privilege, Pravalika. Good morning, guys. This is JC Madhuri, your Zone Director Business. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very glad that Kakinada, 4 LOMs, the best LOMs of Kakinada are here conducting this session on a Sunday morning as part of the Business Trio Days. Despite the pandemic, you all are here from the past 3 days. I'm sure that you're doing wonderful programs. And today's is no less. It's a very interesting topic. I would definitely love to be here, but I have other engagements, so I have to be in the other sessions as well. But my best wishes with you guys. Please go ahead and do well. Best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madhuri Garu, for your words and for attending our session, today's session. It's a great privilege. Sir, Rishikesh sir, I'm handing over the floor to you. Please take it forward.
Okay, can I begin now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I hope I'll begin with the most popular, statements these days. Am I audible? Is my screen visible? Is my video visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So JCI and the members and the leaders of JCI, thank you very much for considering me to host this event on a Sunday. That too on a topic which is quite relevant and is close to my heart. Thank you for considering me worth enough for this. We'll spend about 1 hour 30 minutes, and we can also have some question answer session. That's how I have planned it. So meantime, if you have any questions, you do feel free to raise your questions in the chat box, or if you want me to stop somewhere in the middle and clarify anything, or if anything is welcome. It is all up to you. Well, I thought I'll begin with this statement. Man traps his energy in his creation. Poets, they would write it in the form of poems. Artists, they would do it in the form of painting. Chef, they would transfer it in the food. And the entrepreneurs, they transfer it in their startups. So I'm assuming majority of the participants are either business owners or entrepreneurs. And I'm sure your venture, whether it is a startup or a business venture, is close to your heart. And there is a Greek terminology called meraki. Meraki means the power to do something with all your heart, or the power to do something with love. I'm assuming all of you, whether you are businessmen or entrepreneurs, you are doing whatever you are into with all your love. And that's why I'm thinking that even on a Sunday, you've chosen to come and attend the session. So once again, I thank you, especially to Prabalika, who had invited me. She also happens to be my student at Christ University. So thank you. On that note, I'll begin. But then there are a couple of things which I thought I should say before I begin my presentation. Well, most of the ideas that you end up hearing or listening to in this session are not of my own. I have taken it from a lot of published sources. It is from the reports of the World Economic Forum. It is from the reports of World Bank. It is from the reports of Deloitte or McKinsey. So I've relied on a lot of reports and compiled all of that into the form of a presentation. So I don't want to claim anything as my own. It's just a compilation of a lot of ideas which I came across and found interesting. So that's what I'll be sharing with you. So before I begin, let me ask a very fundamental question. What happens if the shark is in a fish tank? It is actually a metaphor or an analogy which is used to discuss a particular context. What if a shark is in a fish tank? Fish tank is not much of a size. Yeah, it will be small in size relatively, but the shark has the capacity to even uh, be in a sea, in a big sea. But what happens if the shark is in a fish tank? Any responses to this? Any answers? You could shoot out your responses in the chat box, or else I'll go ahead with my uh, okay. Reduced opportunities is what Sen Anirudh Sistla says. Of course, it reduces opportunities. But there is another context in which we normally use the concept of shark in a fish tank. I completely agree with your point, Anirudh sir, but there is something else which I was looking for. Now, if a shark is in a fish tank, what happens is a shark will never outgrow its circumstance. But if it is in an ocean, it will grow 8 feet or even more. But if the shark is in a fish tank, it will not grow more than 8 inch. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. A shark, if it is in a fish tank, will not grow more than 8 inch, but the same shark, if it is in an ocean, will grow 8 feet or even more. The shark will never outgrow its environment, and the same is true for you. The same is true for all of us. The same is true for entrepreneurs. The same is true for businessmen. The same is true for any professional for that matter. The same is true for all students as well. So many a times we are around the small thinking people that limits our growth. So if we change our environment, that is a moment when we start growing. That's the metaphor that is used to um, to signify the shark in a fish tank. So I think JCI's attempt to organize webinars, JCI's attempt to organize workshops on various topics of contemporary relevance is to not get limited to be in a fish tank, but to explore the huge possibilities of the environment around. That's the reason probably you all are in Kakinada, I'm in Bangalore, and we are able to, you're trying to outgrow your environment and just trying to learn something from each other, and in the course of which I hope I will also learn something from you. So on that note, I'll begin. There is another thing which is also quite commonly said about businessmen or entrepreneurs. It is called the Russian roulette. What is Russian roulette? It is a lethal game of chance. Now, it is a practice of loading the bullet into only one chamber of the revolver, and you spin the cylinder and then pull the trigger, and it might be by luck or by chance that it hits the target. Some people venture into entrepreneurship, some people venture into business as a lethal game of chance, without much of thinking, without much of planning, without much of understanding the market. They just venture out into an entrepreneurship venture or a business. And if you are one such person, then this workshop is not for you. I'm intending to talk to people who are really serious about your business, who are really serious about your entrepreneurship, and who are not playing the Russian roulette, who are not playing the lethal game of chance. I'm assuming all of you are really, really serious about your venture, and you actually believe in the Meraki. You are doing your entrepreneurship, you are running your entrepreneurship venture with absolute commitment and interest. So on having said that, let me also share a statement which was made by Donald Rumsfeld. I hope you remember Donald, a US military chief, and he said, this is applicable. I mean, this statement is applicable for all our major decisions in our life. Any decision that we make, there are known knowns. There are things that we know, or there are things we know that we know. And there are known unknowns. We also know there are things that we know that we are not aware of. But at the same time, there is also unknown unknowns. I repeat, there are known knowns, there are known unknowns, there are unknown unknowns. Yeah? This is a very popular statement. Most of your business decisions that you make, entrepreneurial decisions, some of the factors you're aware. What is the customer interest? Whether the market would change. None of us could anticipate this pandemic or COVID-19, which comes under known unknowns. We know that market is uncertain, but we don't know in what ways it is uncertain. We don't know when we will go back to the new normal. So those are known unknowns. There are known knowns as well. There are unknown unknowns. So our decisions in life, most of our individual, personal or professional decisions are based on known knowns, known unknowns, and known unknown unknowns. I want you to keep these things in mind, because probably towards the end of the session, you would understand why I have made all of these statements. I have made reference of a few anecdotes, a reference of a few metaphors like shark in a fish tank, or the Russian roulette, because all of those would be relatable towards the end of our discussion. Similarly, I'm just setting the context for our discussion. I've still not started, I've still not entered into the topic, but I'm just setting a context. Similarly, in business or even in our personal or professional life, we all play the game of chess. What happens in the game of chess? We spend a lot of time trying to get a full information both about you as also your participants. In business, you try to understand what is it that your competitors are doing. You try to understand what is it that your customers expect. Yeah. So most of our decisions are like playing chess. Most decisions that we make in business are like playing chess, where we just anticipate how a person thinks and then make your moves. Secondly, you know what you have in hand. A lot of resources. As an entrepreneur, you have a lot of resources. That's how we play the game of cards. You have a set of cards, you know what you have in hand, but you don't know what your competitors have in hand, right? But you don't know what your opponents have in hand. But then you have to make a decision. One, you spend a lot of time trying to understand the full information. You try to understand yourself, your own business, and also try to understand others. And in second case is when you have a lot of decision or information in hand, just like you play the game of cards, but you don't know what your competitors have in hand. But at the same time, there is another way of looking at how decisions are made in business. Where you end up depends on how many snakes bit you on your way and how many ladders that you discovered in your journey. All our business decisions are uncertain. Most of the decisions, we don't know the prospects, we don't know, especially in the current day environment of COVID-19 or the current day pandemic, we don't know whether our decisions are right or wrong. We have to make a calculated risk. And in that process, sometimes we might find a ladder which helps you to kind of navigate through. But at the same time, sometimes you get bit by your competitors, or you get bit by the market forces. You get bit by the government decisions. Yeah. So these are all the ways in which an entrepreneur or a businessman, or these are all the context in which an entrepreneur or a businessman will have to make his or her decisions. How do you make a decision in the current day context of COVID-19? I mean, that is one aspect that I'll be discussing for the next 1 hour. Now, I need to discuss this in two contexts, before which I want some of you to respond. Whose curriculum vitae is this? I want you to make a guess of whose curriculum vitae is this. It's a giveaway. You can easily make out. This is responsible for global digital transformation. This is responsible for global carbon emissions, reduction of global carbon emissions. This is responsible for 5 million job cuts. This is responsible for industries to shift to work from home. I mean, it's a giveaway. Any guesses? You could easily make a guess. It is coronavirus and or the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah. So in this pandemic and uncertain situation, how do you make business decisions? What are the factors that you need to consider while making your business decisions? That's something which I'll try to focus on, but I'll focus on not just pandemic. There is one more thing that we should be aware of. There is one more thing that we should be careful about. Can you make a guess as to what it is? It is not just COVID-19. Someone make a guess.
Virus.
Virus.
Not just the virus. Not just the virus. There is
Okay,
something
that's
which is
Earth.
happening.
That's a Earth, and on Earth.
Okay, I'll give
Something
you
like that.
what I was looking at is Industry 4.0. I'll discuss both the influence or the repercussions of COVID-19 on business and entrepreneurship. I'll also discuss about the impact of Industry 4.0 on business. How is it changing? How is it transforming the way in which business is done? So these are the two broad aspects that I'll try to cover in the discussion today. And towards the end, as I said, we can take about 5 or 10 minutes for a question answer session. If you have any questions, I would suggest you to kind of reserve all your questions towards the end, and we can have a discussion. So my question is, what is apocalypse? Apocalypse is a complete collapse of everything. Yeah, there are movies on apocalypse. At the same time, Renaissance is about recovery, rising up from the ashes. Which one is going to happen after COVID? Is it apocalypse? Is it going to collapse all the business ventures? Is it going to collapse all entrepreneurial ventures? We need to look at it from a very we need to look at it objectively. We need to look at the realities of what is happening and then try to make our business decisions, then try to make our entrepreneurial decisions. Or will the current COVID-19 lead to a renaissance of all the business? Is it going to change the way in which the business is conducted? That's the question that we'll attempt to discover in the next 1 hour. Now, as I said, there are lots of things in your life that you cannot control. Yeah. But at the same time, there are lots of things that you can control. As I said before, I have mentioned about there are lots of known knowns. There are lots of known unknowns. At the same time, there are lots of unknown unknowns. It is in this context that you have to make a decision. Now, I found this term, this is a Chinese term, quite interesting. It's called Pin Yin. Yeah, this is read as Pin Yin. And it says it is composed of two words or two Chinese characters. It says it signifies both danger as also an opportunity. I think the current COVID-19 is both a danger as also an opportunity. It is a Pin Yin. There are lots of things which are going to change. There are lots of challenges. I do agree with it. But at the same time, the current COVID-19 is also offering lots and lots of newer opportunities. And what are those opportunities? That's what we'll try to discuss. Let me now begin with my presentation. Till now, I was just, last 10, 15 minutes, I was just setting the context for our discussion. Now, this was a full of industrialization. When the early industrialization took place, this was a full-time job. Now, the person, if you can see, is reading out
Dear members, it's just a technical issue, signal lost. Just 2 minutes. Please join me now.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think I was not there for some time, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are sitting
Okay,
up.
sorry. Sorry for that. I think there was some technical issue here. All right. So this is where we stopped, isn't it? Okay. So this was the most respected and a highly paid job. And the job title is Lector, Lector. And his job profile was like this. He had to read the daily newspaper and he would make it. I mean, this was a time when there was no radio. This was a time when there was no television or an internet or a mobile, any electronic gadget. So he had to read the daily newspaper in such a way that it makes it interesting for the people. So probably this is the beginning of infotainment, information with entertainment. Yeah, he would present it in such a way that it becomes interesting. Now, this is how it used to happen. Now, another picture of Lector. But in 2021, April 25, do you get to see this job, Lector? It is not there, right? So that's the point which I wish to begin with. A lot of jobs, because of the Industry 4.0. What is Industry 4.0? I'll come to it in a little while. There was a report which came in December 2017, and the report is known as Jobs Lost, Jobs Gained report. And this report said by 2030, 400 million jobs will get replaced. 2030, we are already in 2021. It's just about 9 years ahead. By 2030, 400 million jobs will be replaced by technology. I've given an example of what I'm referring to in the slide on the right hand side. In 2010, if you had to take an aerial view, you had to hire a helicopter, you had to hire a cameraman, you had to hire a pilot. But in 2020, you just need a drone and it take pictures for you. So how many people have lost the job? The pilot, the cameraman, and whichever are. So that is the way in which technology is advancing, right? As I said, the lector's job is not there in 2020. Similarly, what example I've quoted here is that of a pilot and a cameraman doing an aerial view, aerial shooting, is replaced with a drone. Similarly, by 2030, a lot of our jobs will get replaced with technology. Doctors are losing jobs in US already. Why? You enter your disease in your cloud server, you get the prescription, absolutely free of cost. Physicians are losing jobs. Accountants are losing job. Why? Because you enter your problem, your details, the system generates automatic reports. Investors are losing jobs. Almost every job is under threat, right? So that is a context in which you'll have to think as an entrepreneur, which are the kind of jobs and professions which are likely to last by 2025, 2030. Now, what is Industry 4.0? I'm slowly getting into the topic now. The first phase of industrialization was in 1784 when there was a steam engine, then came electricity, then came computers, and today we are in the fourth phase of industrialization where we have artificial intelligence, we have robotics, we have humanoids, and so many other things which are going to replace the way in which we are working, going to replace the way in which we are living. So those are the challenges primarily for an entrepreneur or a businessman. How do you run your business when you don't need people, when every or most of the work can be done by technology. Yeah. So that's what you call the fourth phase of industrialization, and the imagination is the limit as to what all things are happening in the name of Industry 4.0. You have mobile devices. Uh, Bosch is a company which had come up with a refrigerator which can be operated within a radius of 20 or 30 kilometers. No matter whether you are at home or at office, you can switch on or switch off this refrigerator. This refrigerator also has artificial intelligence in it. When a product gets over, the refrigerator will place the order on its own to the grocery shop, and by the time you're back from office, the product is delivered at your doorstep, and that delivery might have happened by a drone. Yeah, I mean, such advancements have already happened in US. I mean, that's the way in which technology is growing. Technology is slowly peeping into almost all the jobs, all the professions. So how do you run your business minus technology? You need to embed technology in your business. And what are those technologies that you can utilize? We'll discuss. IoT, Internet of Things. What is Internet of Things? Imagine all your gadgets are connected with internet. Your mobile, your two-wheeler, your four-wheeler, your watch, your television, refrigerator, everything is, if it is connected with internet, that's what Internet of Things is. I mean, technology is advancing in that direction. You can operate your device no matter where you are. The other day I was watching an advertisement. The husband is in US and the wife is pregnant and is in India, and they have a video call, and during the call she falls asleep, and husband switch off all the lights and switch on the AC with his mobile phone sitting in US. I mean, that is possible these days. That's what Internet of Things gives you possibility. So if you're running your business without utilizing the possibilities of technology, there is every likelihood of being wiped out from the market. Location detection technologies. What is location detection? In Sweden, they have made it mandatory that every newborn baby has a chip being embedded in the body. And this chip would be a replacement for all the cards that we are carrying. It replaces credit card, debit card, PAN card, Aadhaar card, driving license, everything. You just need to have a chip in your body, which means by 2025, 2030, every newborn baby would be a half human, half technology in Sweden. And don't think this is happening only in Sweden or in US or in UK or in Japan. It has reached even in closer home, in Bangalore. I'll come to it later. But what I'm trying to say is 3D printing is another thing. You can 3D print a building. I hope you're aware. A building was entirely 3D printed in the Middle East. So why do you need manual labor if you can print a building? I mean, if you are, as an entrepreneur, is in such a venture where or is into construction, I think you'll have to now rethink about how you are utilizing the possibilities of technology. Big data analytics, augmented reality. So many things are changing the way in which we are living, changing the way in which business or entrepreneurship is done. So my point here is, I'll just play a small video, probably that will make it clear. It's about a Fly Zoo hotel. Fly Zoo hotel is started by Alibaba is a company which is bigger than, I would say, Amazon. It's a Chinese-based company, and they've started a hotel in which there is zero human intervention. There is absolutely no human intervention. The moment you step into, you exit, everything is done by technology. I'll just play that video so that it becomes easier for you to understand.
Welcome to Alibaba's Flyzoo Hotel, the hotel of the future. Located in Hangzhou, China, the Flyzoo Hotel project was led by Alibaba's online travel platform Fliggy. The hotel brings together technology and hospitality to find innovations that can empower the industry in the digital era.
It all starts with the Flyzoo mobile app. From here, I can book my stay, choose the floor I want, and even the direction that my room faces.
And when I get to the hotel, check-in requires just a few simple steps at this kiosk. For Chinese travelers, it's even easier. They can check in via the app and go straight to their room. Flyzoo features a range of AI services to create a convenient and seamless experience for guests. For example, you can choose to use facial recognition rather than keys and key cards to access the hotel. That means everything from using the elevator to entering your room is as easy as smiling for the camera. The hotel uses the picture I took at check-in to verify it's me. The Flyzoo Hotel has 290 rooms, each with a Tmall Genie Smart Assistant who helps me adjust the temperature, the lights, the curtains, and the TV, all with a simple voice command.
You can go back and watch this video, Flyzoo Hotel of Alibaba, Flyzoo Hotel of Jack Ma. This is, I mean, if some of you who are online today, if you are into hotel or restaurant, I mean, it's time to rethink, because Flyzoo, they've started one branch and they are planning to set up branches across the globe, at least 10 branches by 2025. And what is the speciality? I repeat again, there are no people involved. Right from your reception to your room boy, everything is technology. Yeah. So I'll just show that. Yeah. So this is the room boy, Flyzoo Hotel room boy. You get it? So what I'm trying to say is, there is a professor. This is not something which is happening in US or UK or in Japan. As I said, even in Bangalore, one of the schools have bought 3 robots, which is replacing teachers. Indus International School in Bangalore, they've bought 3 robots. I hope you're getting a picture now. So if you are, I mean, earlier I spoke about construction industry. Construction, 3D printing is possible now. You don't need people. Second, hotel industry, Flyzoo Hotel. You don't need people there. Here in a school, you don't need teachers. It is replaced with robots. And this has happened in Bangalore. And if you are into, I mean, Prabalika is running a college. Now, you could try out this. You know, if you're not getting good qualified faculties, you just need to invest some amount in buying robots, and they will teach, much effectively than, their intelligence is ultra super powerful than that of human beings. So every sector is under threat. Every business model is under threat now because of this Industry 4.0, because technology is taking over a lot of jobs, because technology, the imagination is only the limit, is taking over almost every sector. For example, you have Alexa and Siri. Those are personal assistants. I spoke about other professions. Lawyers are losing job in US. Why? There is a technology called ROS. ROS makes 90% accurate decisions than human. I mean, if you are into, if your venture is as an entrepreneur is about running, a legal office, I think you'll have to rethink about. Doctors are losing job. I spoke about it. IBM Watson. IBM has come up with a technology called Watson, and they take 4 times more accurate decisions than human beings. I don't think I'll have to explain autonomous drivers. There are cars which does not require drivers. Like Tesla, they've already come up with driverless cars. Google is also planning one. If you are into stock market investment, That is another entrepreneurial venture, or there is another way of finding a source of income. There are investment softwares like Numerai, which makes precise decisions for you, much more accurate than human decisions. So the point here is every business or entrepreneurial sector is under threat because of the fourth phase of industrialization, which is also called the Industry 4.0. So it is time that you have to seriously think about how do you bring in the advantages of this technology in your office spaces. Because if you don't adapt these, I'm sure you would be replaced with technology. I spoke about a school in Bangalore. Now, even State Bank of India, they have come up with a new watch. They have tied with Titan, and this watch will make payment for you. This is a payment watch which means again, you don't need to carry your credit or debit card now. It's just showing your watch and your payment is done. Your money is deducted from your account. I hope you're getting a fair idea of what is the fourth phase of industrialization. So the question that we need to ask ourselves is, are organizations equipping for the era of fourth industrial revolution? Are you equipping your organization as an entrepreneur or as an industrialist, as a businessman? Are you equipping your organization for the era of fourth phase of industrial revolution? That's a big question. How do you equip yourself? Now, as I said, imagination is only the limit. There are so many things which you can utilize in your business space. And this is a summary of an article which is written by one of my friends, Jane Thomas. There is artificial intelligence, there is autonomous driving, there is electric cars, wearable electronics, DNA editing. So you just can't think about the limit or the possibilities of the technology and its growth, right? So there is an interesting article which is written by Ray Kurzweil, and it very clearly speaks about where technology is heading towards from 2019 to 2099. What all phase would this technology be utilized? I mean, if you are really interested in this topic, I want all the participants to go back and read this article, The Future of You by Ray Kurzweil. It tells you, it gives you a clear picture as to how you can utilize the technology in your personal life as also in your professional life, or probably in your organization or your industry or your entrepreneurship venture. All right. Now, one of the things which I should also mention here is, I spoke about a lot of jobs are taken over by technology. How many of you are actually aware that there is a car which does recruitment of its mechanic? Recruitment of the mechanic is done by the car itself. The car does the interview of the mechanic. If you are interested, I can play that video quickly, and then we can...
Welcome, Oliver. Glad to see you put on your blue shirt for the interview.
Yes, indeed. You're welcome.
Are you feeling stressed?
Just a bit, you know.
Please allow me to play some piano music to make you feel more comfortable.
I'll stop that video, but I hope you have understood what it is. The car is interviewing the candidate. The car is interviewing or selecting the mechanic. That much is the advancement of, which means this Volvo car does not require an HR department because people in the HR sector have lost job. I mean, that is how you have to start thinking which all jobs are likely to get replaced with technology. What is the impact of Industry 4.0? What will be the impact of Industry 4.0 in your organization? And don't think that you are in Kakinada or I am at Bangalore, this would not come. As I said, in Bangalore, it has already reached. The college or school had already bought technology. And when I did an interview or a workshop for a few entrepreneurs in Kerala way back in 2014, I was asked to go to HDFC Bank. And what I found is the front office manager is replaced with a robot. They've bought a robot and robot is the front office manager. Imagine there are 3,000 branches of HDFC all across India and all 3,000 front office is replaced with a robot. 3,000 people are losing the job in that sector. And it is likely to happen. They find it more interesting and engaging, more productive. Yeah. So the point here is, I'll skip quite a few slides. We are living in an age of change. We are living in an age of change which is happening at an exponential rate. It is happening at a rate which is unprecedented. And this change, what had happened in the past 1 year is much more than the change what had happened in the past 10 years. The pace at which the change is happening is unimaginable. Yeah. And that is what you call the VUCA. We are currently living in an age of VUCA. It is just an extension of Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is also known as VUCA. What is VUCA? Everything, our entire business environment is highly volatile. The environment demands you to react quickly. A business environment is uncertain. You don't know what brings you profit. You don't know how the market would change. As of now, currently, we don't know when our market would go back to the new normal because of this current COVID pandemic. So it's likely to remain uncertain. The market and competition is becoming highly complex. And the last is, it's becoming ambiguous as well. The environment is unfamiliar. It is something outside of our expertise. So I spoke about, till now, I was talking about what is Industry 4.0. And then I spoke about McKinsey's report, which was published in 2017, December, which says that by 2030, 400 million jobs are likely to get replaced with technology. And it is spread across all the sector, whether it is construction, medical, lawyers, teachers, engineers, software professionals, investors, physicians, every sector, hotels. I showed the example of hotel industry, Flyzoo. I showed the example of construction industry, where an entire building was printed, 3D printed, right? So all of that says that a world currently that we are living in is VUCA. The world is volatile, the world is uncertain, the world is complex and ambiguous. So that's the world in which we have to make our decisions. Now, let's slowly get into the second topic of the discussion, which is the impact of COVID-19. The impact of COVID-19 on business. And then I'll summarize with how is it that we can come out of both the Industry 4.0 challenges and also the challenges raised by COVID-19. I'm sure all of us would agree that we are all affected by the COVID-19. In a way or the other, some way or the other, we are all affected by it, right? Now, but believe me, this is not the first of the pandemic which had happened. So many pandemic has happened, and all of these pandemics has brought out the best of people. That's why I said, I hope you remember, I used the word yin yang, which is a Chinese word which says there are challenges, but at the same time there are opportunities. What are those opportunities? I'll come to it now. Now, I'll just quickly take you through some of the primary challenges of COVID-19. And then I think you will get a fair idea as to how we should be prepared for all of these challenges. I'm relying on a report which had come, 25 job and career trends post COVID-19. Number one is about the loss of jobs. Bloomberg has predicted that almost 13% of a drop will be there in global merchandise, and there will be a recession in the world globally. I hope you're aware the greatest of the financial crisis was the depression of 1930s. But the current depression or the recession which is likely to happen would be the most or the severely hit crisis ever in human history. And one of the things which are likely to be rampant is the loss of jobs. So you need to think about how is it that you run your business enterprise. You need to think about how is it that you run your business venture when you are forced to remove your existing employees. I hope you're aware that a lot of new terminologies have started coming into picture. Zoom firing. You get a Zoom call. We are now on a Zoom video call. And on the other end, the boss says we no more require WhatsApp firings, ping slips. These are all becoming a common trend, not just in India, but also globally. A lot of my students who got placed in companies, either the company is not recruiting them or they are delaying their placements. Why? Because they say that globally the business is dull. We don't need. What is further worse are the people who had given up their current job and they were expecting an appointment elsewhere. But what had happened is they are neither there nor here. They are completely jobless. So joblessness is going to hit the market quite a lot. But is that an opportunity for an entrepreneur or a businessman? It is actually an opportunity because today you can hire the best of the people with a lot of experience because a lot of them are losing their jobs and they are desperately needing an employment, right? I'll come to it in detail later. The second thing which is likely to happen because of this current COVID-19 is the salary cut. So it is suggested that even if there is a salary cut, most people are advised, as per this report, most people are advised to remain in the current job because there is no other job. So even if you're reducing the salary, people are willing to work. Is that an opportunity or is that a challenge? I think I leave it to you. But then people are available at a cheaper labor. Cheap labor are available at the current context of pandemic. Now, the third challenge is about the last hired, first fired is the normal terminology, HR terminology. But then even older employees are now forced to leave their organization, which means there is high possibility of getting experienced people can be recruited because there is abundance of people who are in search of a job. I leave it there. Another thing which is quite rampant is the anxiety, frustration, helplessness, and even suicides. I have one of my friend who's based out of the Middle East. He jumped from his office building and committed suicide. Why? Because he had made investment in the African countries for oil exploration, and he thought the world would go normal. All of a sudden, this current pandemic, he just couldn't handle the emotional trauma, the stress, or the frustration, and then he jumped from. I mean, this is likely to increase. So that's another, I mean, I'm just listing out a few challenges of the current COVID-19 pandemic. But if you are as an entrepreneur or if you are as a businessman, you will have to balance both your emotional health as also your physical health. Mental health is also your physical health. Mental well-being is something which you'll have to take care of. What about the startup ventures? It is said that 8 out of 10 startups are likely to be a failure. This is not what I'm saying, but what the report which I'm relying on says. So startups are likely to fail because there is less likely, but there are opportunities in some other areas. I'll come to it towards the end of my presentation. But a lot of startups had never ever anticipated so much of a global halt for almost 1.5 years now. 1 year, close to 16 months now, right? So startups, but never ever get disheartened by it because there are other avenues which are flowing open because of this COVID-19. Another thing is frontline workers. Frontline jobs are likely to become less attractive. Which are those frontline workers? The firefighters, the police officers, the practitioners, the emergency medical technicians, the ambulance drivers, physical therapists, retail salespersons, restaurant servers, cashiers, flight attendants, airline pilots, dancers. I mean, so many of them, because they have to closely interact with people, they are not taking up such jobs. So a lot of people are not opting frontline jobs. So can we utilize technology in frontline jobs and replace these people who are in search of job for our organization? That's something which is a huge opportunity as an entrepreneur, which is open. As I said, frontline jobs like these are likely to become less attractive. Now, what about migration? Migration not just for studies, but even for sometimes people do relocate completely with their family, which is also likely to get reduced. One of my friend and also my mentor, he's the director of IIM Kashipur. His son had taken admission in China, and he sold his property in Himachal Pradesh, almost 80 lakh property, and he wanted to invest that amount for his son's education. Because of this COVID-19, he had to withdraw his application. And then, of course, he did lose some money, but life was more precious than the money that we've lost. And he is planning to continue his education in India, which means the migration for the sake of higher studies, migration for the sake of finding jobs, migration sometimes even permanently, are all going to reduce. A lot of human capital is likely to remain in India. A lot of people are likely to remain in the places where they are, finding out newer revenues, newer jobs. So that's another huge, huge possibility which you as an entrepreneur or as a businessman or as an industrialist can explore. Another thing, the work from home is likely to continue. And globally, Deloitte had done a study, and they came up with this report, I think in the mid of 2020. And this report says that majority of the people would continue to do work from home, because it is both profitable for the organization as also for the employees. There is no travel. I mean, need not get stuck in traffic. You can work from home. At the same time, you can balance your personal commitments at home. At the same time, majority of the mid-level organization in Bangalore who had hired properties at prime locations like Korumangala or Domalur, they've abandoned their buildings, and it is huge profit for them. And this trend is likely to continue, which means organizations, if you are running an organization, the other day I was attending a webinar of Aster Hospital. Aster is a huge business group in the Middle East. And the doctor was talking about how much of their office space is given on rent for others, because they have asked majority of the employees to work from home. So work from home is a new possibility for entrepreneurs and businessmen to explore. You can get the best of your employees, and geography is not a limitation. You can hire people from Germany, you can hire people from US, UK, Japan, but you can make them work for your organization. So cheaper labor, more efficient workers, more competent and experienced workers, if you're continuing the work from home model, can explore. That's a new possibility, right? But then one of the sector which is hit really bad is the informal sector, which is really pathetic. Almost 400 million people, or 400 to 600 million people are there in the informal sector. Informal sector is really hit bad. But then if you can start some ventures on these informal sector, selling groceries online, selling vegetables online, I mean, that's a huge possibility. I have one of my good friend who runs Fresh to Home. Fresh to Home is a online fish and non-veg. Now they have also ventured into vegetable, and they were telling that the post-pandemic period has been the best in their life, best time in their business, because online is going to be the future. And if you can convert your business from offline partly to hybrid mode, to both offline as also online, possibilities are humongous. There is a huge possibility. So I'm just giving you random points for you to think about. I initially spoke about the industry 4.0 and the kind of challenges that it is bringing in, and also the opportunities that it is bringing in. And then I spoke about the COVID-19 pandemic, the different kinds of challenges, at the same time, the different opportunities that it is bringing in. Now, amidst both of these, amidst both the pandemic as also the industry 4.0, how do we become relevant? How do we as entrepreneurs, how do we as, let's say, businessmen, how do we as industrialists become relevant? That's a question we'll try to answer, and then I'll wind up. Then I'll take a few questions if there are any, and then So I'll go with examples. Blockbuster in the early 2000s was one of the most successful, most profitable venture in the US. And this is where you could rent or hire video games, movie CDs, audio CDs, and they had huge number of outlets in US. But all of a sudden, it got vanished from the market. Why? I'll come to it. Similarly, Borders. Borders was a book music cafe, which was also extremely popular, the most profitable business venture in US. But then all of a sudden, it got wiped out of the market. Why? In both the cases, Netflix had come to, online streaming had become popular, and both these ventures, Blockbuster as also Borders, had become outdated. Same is what happened with the Kodak, the film camera. They were overconfident that they can never be beaten. They would always remain, they thought they would always remain as the market leaders. But then digital cameras came. You don't hear about Kodak these days. Therefore, any moment where we fail to anticipate the changes that are happening around is known as the Kodak moment. But it had happened with Borders. It had also happened with Blockbuster. They could not understand the changes which, and the same Kodak moment can happen to you as entrepreneurs, as also as businessmen. If you fail to understand the market changes, if you fail to understand the changes which are happening in the form of Industry 4.0, at the same time, the changes and this which the COVID-19 has brought in. How do we avoid that? I mean, the same has happened with all of these companies. IBM, Nokia is another example. When Samsung came, Nokia was literally wiped out of the market. Same happened with Motorola, Yahoo, Polaroid, Xerox, GM, BlackBerry mobile phones. All of them got wiped out of the market because they failed to understand how the markets were changing. So let it not happen to any of you who are standing, who are in this webinar. You have to understand what all are the challenges of COVID-19, as also what are the challenges of the current Industry 4.0. I've tried to summarize a few, which I hope was relatable for you. Now, what are the implications of business? Do you think, I spoke about yin yang, which is both challenge at the same time opportunity, a Chinese term which I had introduced at the beginning of my presentation. Now, do you think business has changed a lot in the past couple of years? I have a couple of examples which would illustrate that. Car sales is going down. This is a global trend. But on the other side, Ola and Uber is rising. Restaurants are closing. But on the other side, food delivery, Uber Eats, and so many other are increasing. Tuition classes are decreasing. But at the other side, online classes are increasing. Byju's, so many other applications have come into the market. Traders are struggling, but the marketplace is thriving. Demand is down, consumption is going up. Old commission business is struggling, online services is rising. Now, government job creation is decreasing, but startup culture is rising. So what is it that I'm trying to share here? The point here is, it is not that the business is struggling, but that the business models are changing. If you're continuing with your older brick and mortar business, you are likely to get wiped out of the market. It is time. COVID-19 has given you a time to sit back and think about how is it that you can make your business sustainable and profitable in the long run. Yeah. So I have a few examples here. What is common in all of these three companies, Airbnb, Uber, and Alibaba? Can I have a response here? Can I have? Is there anything common? Of course, they're all online business models, but that is not the answer. Is there anything that is common in all these three businesses? All of these three businesses were started during a crisis. So crisis may not be catastrophic for business. Airbnb was started during 2007 financial crisis. People were running short of money and they wanted additional source of income. They started renting and hiring, renting their houses. And that's exactly what Airbnb business model is. Uber, the taxi drivers wanted more income. They all logged into Uber. Alibaba Group, it was SARS virus which had hit the Chinese market is when, so virus or financial crisis or any catastrophe, natural or man-made catastrophe, is actually an opportunity to start. And there are several examples for it. I'll go with more examples here. As I said, both Airbnb and Uber were started during 2007 financial crisis, and the Alibaba group was started during the SARS virus breakout. So it can, virus or a pandemic or a disaster, financial disaster, can be an opportunity to start something new, can be an opportunity to experiment something new. And are there such resilient business models? It doesn't limit with the earlier three companies. All of these companies which I have listed here, Microsoft, HP, IBM, Disney, Burger King, FedEx, General Motors, Apple, CNN, if you go back to their history, you would understand that all these companies, all these business ventures, they started during a crisis. So crisis is actually an opportunity to start, experiment something new. Crisis is an opportunity to think out of the box. Crisis is an opportunity to initiate and think completely out of the box and come up with a newer venture, right? So this has happened with Walmart also. Walmart had also come to the market during such a crisis. So my point here is, I'll skip quite a few slides. Is your organization preparing for the future shock? Let's try to address that question, and then in about another 5 or 10 minutes, I'll wind up and take a few questions. Is your organization, are you as an entrepreneur prepared to accept the future shock? The shock because of the COVID-19 and the shock because of the current Industry 4.0. Now, I spoke about VUCA, which is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. But there is an antidote to VUCA. If you're able to create an organization with a vision, if you as an entrepreneur has a vision, if you as a running an organization with a vision, anticipating the issues and shape conditions, you can survive. If you are running an organization which is understanding in nature, know the consequences of issues and actions, each of the actions that you take during this current COVID-19 and the Industry 4.0, you can survive in the long run. If you have clarity of finding coherence, aligning your expectations and checking for understanding of what your competitors or what your customers are looking for, there is a huge possibility. So instead of complexity, if you have clarity, it brings about more resilience to your business. And the last one is agility. What is agility? Your ability to make quick decisions, prepare, interpret, and address opportunities. So as I said, current COVID-19 and Industry 4.0 offers you a lot of opportunities. Let's look at the positives of it. So those opportunities, if you're approaching with a vision, understanding, clarity, and agility, your ability to make quicker decisions, I think, throws open a lot of, so many people have done this. But let me kind of pause here and then start a small survey. So there is this small, I hope you can see my screen. This survey can be done using Mentimeter. And what I want you to do is take your mobile phone and log into menti.com, www.menti.com. Once you log into menti.com, you will have to enter the code 78 97 36 43. Once you enter these details, you get a question. What is it that the skills that you as an entrepreneur is required that will make you relevant? You can enter your answers there and it
Can
will
you
start
please
appearing.
tell the code once again?
78 97 36 43. www.menti.com, and the code is 78 97 36 43. So before I wind up my discussion, I want you to respond to this question. What do you think, based on the discussions that we've had so far, what skill sets do you think will make you relevant as an entrepreneur, as a businessman? What are the qualities that is going to last for long, that will make you uh, a successful entrepreneur, that will make you a successful businessman or an industrialist? If you're finding it hard to respond online, okay, I think I've received a few messages here. Okay, no, 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 no. Menti.com and 78 97 36 43 is the code. Could you please enter your answer? What skills? So what skills? Maybe your willingness to learn, that is a skill set. Learnability is a skill set which is make you relevant. Similarly, what are the other skill sets? I've given one answer. If you could, or else I'll go with my presentation again. I'll go back to my presentation because I'm not finding any response here. So I'll go back to my presentation. So my question was, what skill sets should the employees possess to defend the challenges raised? As I said, World Economic Forum had come up with 10 different skill sets which makes a person employable. And this was
Can
up
you
to
please the challenge? Readiness.
2015. But then 2020, they've listed another 10 sets of skill sets. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a professional, whether you're a student, whether you are anything else, if you don't possess these skill sets, you are likely to become less employable. You are likely to lose your market, right? So complex problem solving, critical, creative thinking, ability to work in a team, coordinating with others. These are the skill sets which makes you a good entrepreneur, which makes you a good businessman, which makes you a good industrialist. So I would suggest you to go back and read this report, Future of Jobs report, which gives a lot of details about how is it that you can make yourself relevant. So another thing is before I wind up, I wanted to kind of discuss a few more things and take a few questions, right? I'll just quote one or two examples. I hope if you've been to Europe, there are stripper clubs. Yeah, strippers means they would dance before you with their bare body. But what happened is strippers in Europe lost their job because nobody was coming to the clubs, nobody was coming to the pubs during the pandemic because of all the social distancing norms. But they found an alternative way of finding an income. They collaborated with Uber Eats. They collaborated with Uber Eats, and any order that they received, that Uber Eats received, would be delivered by these strippers, and this is how they do it. And it attracted a lot of traction, and they found an alternate source of income. My point is, COVID-19 or the current pandemic is an opportunity to experiment with such things, to do experiments, newer experiments. And a lot of people have come up with such experiments. I'll just share a couple of kind of experiments people have done, or entrepreneurial ventures people have started with. One, solving parents' responsibility, solve parents' a lot of people after work from home had to confide within the four walls of the house. They're finding it. I mean, I have one of my colleagues saying, I and my husband is at home, but my son always says that both of you are at home, but you both don't have time for me. But there are alternate business models which has come up to engage such single children at home. If you can come up with a business model, I think that is a huge opportunity. A lot of people have become YouTube content creators. Some of my students are yoga instructors, some of them who are music teachers, some of them who are into so many other ventures. They've all started YouTube channels of their own. I mean, if you as an entrepreneur can start a venture online through YouTube, that's a huge possibility. Performers, the dancers, musicians, they all have lost the job. The theater people. So if you can start a venture for them, maybe online, organizing online events for them, which is a win-win for both you as also, that is a new opportunity. You need to experiment with such newer business avenues. Connecting the needy students with companies. A lot of students are finding it hard to get an internship opportunity. So if you can act as a nexus between the students who want job and the students who are and the companies who are willing to connect them, that could be a platform or a new platform to, sorry, I'm getting a call, sorry. So health, fitness. I told you about yoga and fitness instructors. Many of them have started podcasts, many of them have started YouTube channels, and they're all minting money. One of my batchmates had started a cooking recipe channel, and it has hit about 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers in the past 4 to 5 months. And that is a new venture which you could experiment. Software solutions, app developments, digital payments, cyber security. These are all areas which people are really, really worried about. Then gaming, virtual reality, augmented reality. So many people have become jobless. Online education. One of my student, Nikita Mehta, she had started a teaching channel. She also has about 1,000 plus subscribers. So I hope you're aware that when you increase the subscription, you get paid by YouTube. So, I mean, that's a source of income. E-commerce or delivery or drop shipping, digital marketing, social market investing, cleaning and sanitizing. A lot of organizations, once they resumed work, they wanted people to go and clean their office spaces. So these are all the different experiments, the possibilities of experiments that anybody could start a new venture with as a startup during this pandemic. As I said, all the business which I've listed earlier were all a result of an out-of-the-box thinking during a pandemic, during a crisis. Say it be Microsoft, say it be Apple, say it be Uber, say it be Alibaba. So this is not a time to sit back and kind of crib around. Things are not happening in our favor, but this is a time that we can utilize to do this. Great innovations occur when you jump to the next curve. So what I'm trying to say is, COVID-19 is an opportunity. It is not, COVID-19 is also, um, what do I say, the industry 4.0 throws open a lot of challenges. I do agree, but it also comes with a lot of opportunities. So if you are sensible enough to understand the opportunities, this is a good time to start a new venture. Say it be a business venture, say it be an entrepreneurial venture, say it be new industry, say it be exploring any online platform. I'll just wind up with a statement made by Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, I hope you're aware that almost 24 or 25 years, or even more than that, or 27 years, he was in a jail. But he's a, an iconic figure in South Africa. But then once he came out of the jail, somebody asked him, "Sir, you might have had a really tough time in the jail. So many years you've been in the jail, you might have had a really bad time." So Mandela replied, "Do you think I was struggling? Do you think I was suffering? I was actually preparing in the jail for what I could do when I come out of the jail." I think COVID-19 has given us an opportunity to sit back and reflect on the possible avenues for business and entrepreneurship, what we could experiment once we go back to the new normal. No, we don't know when it is likely to happen, but it is a time that we can collaborate. This collaboration was possible because I think thanks to COVID. I don't think Pravalika or JCI would have thought about organizing a webinar, because I'm at Bangalore. Either you'll have to call me, I'll have to travel all the way from Bangalore to Kakinada. That's not needed. Now, I can sit anywhere and conduct this experiment. So it is a time that I think we can break free, and it is a time that we can experiment and come out with newer avenues, newer entrepreneurship ventures. So all what I've shared is, I think, is not something which you were completely ignorant about, but what I was trying to do was to turn and clear a vision, just as we do it in a binocular. I was trying to turn and clear your vision and give a little more clarity and give an insight as to how is it that we as an entrepreneur should start thinking, and what are the challenges that we need to keep in mind while you plan for a sustainable and a long-term business model. On that note, I wind up. If you have any questions, I can take those questions, or else it's up to you. Pravalika, I'll stop here, and okay, I've got some responses: networking, creative problem solving, strategy. Thank you. Wonderful. Yes, Pravalika, I stop here, and we can proceed with the rest of the. Are there any questions?
Dear participants, please message your question in chat box, or please unmute yourself and ask your questions, if any. You can ask questions, anything regarding to entrepreneurship development, or any questions related to your business, anything. Professor Rishikesh sir is very well knowledge in entrepreneurship development. So all the students, participants, and other business people, you can ask any questions.
So I'm sharing my contact details here, both my email and my phone number, and there is some sort of a reluctance in asking in this forum or in this platform, you can always feel free to reach out to me anytime, and let's try to continue this conversation. So I once again thank you, Pravalika, thank you, JCI Kakinada, for giving me this opportunity, and also for bearing me for almost close to 1 hour 30 minutes. Thank you.
So The first person who comes to my mind when we think about entrepreneurship or entrepreneur development is Professor Rishikesh sir. It was wonderful and informative session on entrepreneurial strategies to set and reset business as part of Trio Business Days, and many inputs and new perspective on how we can take our business forward uh, into our business. You know, Professor Sir has given many inputs, and thank you so much, sir, once again for taking a wonderful session to all our participants. Now, may I request JC Ramyasri for vote of thanks. Ramya. Ramya, please connect to your audio, Ramya. Ramyasri,
Yeah.
you're not audible.
Now I'm audible.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Dear JCs and participant, let me thank you, our speaker, Professor Rishikesh sir, for a wonderful session. I thank you, past zone president, norm coordinator, JCS Senator Pawan Kumar for presenting here. I thank you, Jaddi Business, JC Madhuri for presenting here. I thank you, JC Anrit Sisla, Zone Director International for presenting here. I thank Zone Coordinator JC Mangesh for presenting here. I thank all law members of JCI Kakinada Port, JCI Kakinada Smart, JCI Kakinada Queens, and JCI Kakinada Milestone for presenting the session, and all the guests present here. I'm very much thankful for the session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramya. So before we are winding up, please turn on the video so we can have a group photo. Dear members, please switch on your videos, turn on your videos. Sir, please can you stop screen sharing?
Oh, okay.
Bhushankar, Rishikesh sir, can you please turn on your video? Dear members, please turn on your video. Yes, thank you so much once again, everyone. So the meeting hereby
Thank you, Pravalika.
adjourned officially.
Ali.
Thank you so much, sir, once again for accepting my invitation and coming here to take the wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Ali. I have
Yes, sir.